Hi, welcome to my presentation on how to start a project in the courses that I give. This is a non-standard approach, but it does allow you to very quickly bring up a project with all the necessary Maven components in place, ready for you to complete your assignments. So, without further ado, let's take a look at what we need to do. To begin with, you're going to need to clone one of my sample programs. I recommend, as shown in this slide, the JavaFX 01 basic example. What we're interested in is its POM file, because it forms the basis of the POM files that I wish you to use. So I need you to clone the project. Now, I'm assuming, of course, that you've already cloned desktop project dependencies. You needed to be able to run the first few samples, but if for some reason you haven't, don't forget to clone and do a Maven install for desktop project dependencies. Now we're ready to create a new project in Netbeans. You have probably noticed that there are JavaFX project types, but we're not going to use them. I want you to use Java with Maven, not the FXML JavaFX or the simple JavaFX. Here we are in Netbeans, ready to begin our first project. I'll go to my File menu, select New Project, and I want to use Java with Maven Java Application. I do not want to use the two choices down here for JavaFX. We just want a basic Maven program. I go next. We need to give it a name. I'll call it my first program. Notice that I've given the project name all in lowercase. There are some issues that may occur later on if we used a combination of upper and lower case, so I strongly recommend your project names, like packages, should all be in lower case. Now, two items here called Artifact ID and Group ID. These identify your program to Maven. By default, the Artifact ID is the name of your project. The Group ID, though, is another component, and the general standard when dealing with the Group ID is to use the company name or the company domain name in reverse. So if you were Microsoft.com, you would name your group ID com.microsoft. Now I know you all don't have a company. What I'd like you to use is your name. It'll make it a lot easier for me to figure out whose code I'm looking at, and you've seen me do this frequently. And as a bonus, I actually do have kenfogel.com as a domain. Next is the version number. Normally, version numbers can be anything you want. They don't even have to be numbers. If you work in a company where they decide to name the different versions after different breeds of dogs, you can put that in here as well. More commonly, though, we use numbers, and we have two special words here. One is snapshot, which implies that this code is currently in development and not ready for production. The word final will appear to indicate that code is ready for production, though the more common approach is just to have a number without any text at the end of it. And we can see here that Netbeans will create a first package for us. Oh, and the location, well, that's someplace where you can find things on your computer. So I'm going to say finish. And after a few moments, there we go. There's my first program. Source packages, well, it's empty. All we have is the package we asked for. So let's pop down to Project Files and take a look at the POM. So as you can see, this is an extremely basic POM file. There's literally nothing here. We need to replace the section of this file that starts at Properties and goes to the bottom. So I've just selected it here. Now let's take a look at the basic example code. I'm going to open it up, pop down to its project files, and open the POM. Now, what we're interested in is found right here when we see the comment global settings. Because what you want to do is with the Shift key, slide right down to the bottom of the project, copy it, and then go to the original POM file and paste this over. You now have a POM file properly set up. It understands the right properties, including the name of the main class. It now knows the parent. We always need to refer to our desktop project dependencies. And here we have the basic dependencies. In this case, because it's come from a JavaFX program, we have this initial dependency. What we don't have here, though, are the dependencies for mail. And, well, we're not using MySQL yet, but here's this dependency waiting to be have its comments removed. So let's take a look at the very first project I asked you to work on, the Jag Starter program. Here it is. Let's take a look at its POM file, because what we'd like to retrieve from the POM that belongs to Jag Starter is nothing more than the dependencies required for JOD, and we can see them right here. We need the JOD mail, and we need the JOD mail or the JavaX mail API. I will copy these, go back to my first program, and simply add them to the dependencies. At this point, everything is in place, but let's just be certain. Let's run a small JavaFX program to ensure that everything will function. I'm going to go to my first program, right mouse click, go New, Other. I'm going to pick JavaFX here and say JavaFX main class. This will create a simple class that will contain some JavaFX components so we can verify that our setup is correct. I'll say next. It wants a name. We should call it main app because that's what the POM file is expecting to find. And here under package, let us select the package that exists in our project, my first program. And let's say finish. Very quickly, we'll see that Netbeans has generated a very simple application. So we need to see if this is going to work. Select the project again. Go to Run Maven Goals. Now I can just press enter, but here's a bit of a shortcut to save you one keystroke. Give this Run Maven a name. I'm just going to call it Run. Notice that I'm filling in nothing else. At least for now, I don't want to change any of these. So I will say OK. The program should now compile, and we should soon see a small window on the screen. There we go. We know everything works. Just to show you what happened by giving a name to Run Maven, notice now that there is a run, which we select right away, and our program should execute again in another moment. There you go. You're all set. So, with this video, the accompanying set of slides, you should have no problem setting up projects. We will use a similar approach, though the focus will be on Jakarta rather than JavaFX in the winter semester. See you all in class.